Hey y'all, this is video number 3 of my wash day routine. Yesterday I wore the back out and put the front in a bun. That was Mother's Day. And this is not going to be as short of a video because I want to get on here and I want to talk about how I felt on Mother's Day while I finish the top half of my hair. First, I do want you to know that I did use a leave-in conditioner. This right here, this is the Aunt Jackie's. I've never used Aunt Jackie's before, but this is the Aunt Jackie's Curls and Coils Quench Moisture Intense Leave-In Conditioner. It says it is hydration intense and it's ultra hydrating, deep moisture therapy, and parched tressé, natural curls, coils, and weaves, enriched with shea butter and olive oil. So I put that in my hair, and I am mixing and matching. When I shampoo and condition my hair, I used I can't think of the name of the shampoo and conditioner. Y'all know I'm going through the change of life, so my brain is fried. But it's a back in the day shampoo and conditioner that is tried and true. So I used that together. Then I used the Aunt Jackie's leave-in. But Shea Solutions Curl Stretch Cream. This is for when you're doing like a wash and go, but I like to use this when I twist my hair. So this is what it looks like. A little bit goes a long way. And yeah, I was going to do some flat twists. I don't know. We'll see how I feel because I don't know. But yesterday was Mother's Day. I'm going to go ahead and part with my nail. I should have, yep, my part memory, if that makes sense. But so on Mother's Day, I had a lot of emotions, but I had to show up. And sometimes you have to show up even when you don't have the right quote unquote emotions, right? So Mother's Day, my mother passed away when I was 7. My elder sister passed away on May 15th, 2021. Today is May 12th. So in 3 days, we're coming up on that anniversary, Mother's Day, right? My second eldest sister passed away of ovarian cancer on August the 20th, 2022. That's 1 year, 3 months, and 5 days that they passed away apart from each other. Then in 2024 and 2025 is when I had all these major surgeries that impacted me, which I talked about in the video yesterday. No, the video was on Saturday about how I'm grieving things that we never discuss. So a lot of times they'll look at you and they're like, okay, you lost a child, you lost a parent, you lost whatever. The first maybe 2 weeks, maybe even a month, depending on how popular you are. And, people will show up to your house. They'll send you food, flowers, edible arrangements, cards, and all of that. Now, when my sister Rochelle passed away, I got that. When my sister Keisha passed away, I did not. And I'll get back to that in a minute because expectations are hilarious when we have expectations of people and people don't have the capacity to rise to that occasion. So we have to be very careful of our expectations. Sidebar, do y'all see this blanket that I have hanging up behind me? You probably can't see the whole thing because I'm sitting in front of it, but I just thought this would be a nice backdrop. I might move it up. I think I will move it up when this video is over, so the next video will be up all the way to the top. But I had bought that for my sister who had the ovarian cancer because when she was in hospice, I decorated her room. So I had got that for her and put it on her wall. I got her a comforter set. And it was just some stuff I kept, some stuff I cleaned up and gave away to, is it green drop, purple drop? I can't think of it right now, but yeah, so I'm not really sentimental when it comes to material things. But when I picked out this blanket, I knew, like, when she transitions, I'm gonna have that for myself, because I need to be able to. This part is giving me loose. I need to be able to look at something when I'm down. And whenever I'm down, for some reason, when I look at this blanket, it kind of cheers me up. So that's why I wanted to put it here. This is like my little sitting area in my bedroom. So I have a rocking chair because I grew up with the rocking chair at my aunt and uncle's house. And whenever I would be missing my mom or my dad and get up in the middle of the night, there was that rocking chair. But so I struggled with it, but I watched her die because I didn't want her to die by herself. My prayer was, Lord, don't allow my sister to die alone, because she has felt like she was alone all of her life. Both of them have. And so I say all that to say, I was dealing with that, dealing with the fact that my mom's not here, dealing with the fact that I am unable to conceive. And then you go to church or you go out to eat, and Mother's Day is the most popular day of the year, and you have to participate because there are other people in your life who you have to show up for, right? And people don't understand when you don't show up. It's people are people. They only understand what they understand, and if they have not experienced not being able to produce life, they don't know what that is. And if they have not experienced losing a mother, they don't know what that is. If they have not experienced losing a mother young, they don't know what that is. If they haven't experienced losing a sibling, let alone back to back, they don't really, there is a such thing of you don't know, because you don't know what you don't know, right? And so we have to take these expectations off of people. And I had a conversation with my cousin last night, and I was telling her, I said, I'm not okay. People look at me and be like, oh my God, you're so strong, and this, and this. And I'd be like, I don't know what they looking at, because I'm not okay. And I am trying to navigate a lot at one time. It's a lot, y'all. I know that I'm capable of it. And I know that they say God only gives his strongest soldiers his hardest battles and all of that. But sometimes I'll be looking and I'll be like, God, can I catch my breath before something else happens? Like, I lost my sister, and then a month later, I had to go into my first major surgery ever. And they didn't let my husband stay with me because of all the COVID restrictions, because she died in 2021. And so here I am having this major surgery, spending the night in the hospital by myself for the very first time and feeling away. And I had to deal with that. So I'm grieving losing my sister, but I'm grieving this as well, because coming out of the surgery, you're different. And so you lose a part of yourself in surgery. So there was that. But then I also was let go from a job. And then I was in a position where I couldn't go back to fertility, because we were seeing a fertility specialist, and I had surgery to get an open myomectomy in 2021 on June 30th because the fibroids were so bad. And when that was done, they were like, you can't come back because you have an $800 balance. Here's the thing. When you go in for let's say you are starting fertility treatments, but you're not doing in vitro or anything like that. You're just kind of doing the testing and you're trying out the different methods that they give you, right? I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a doctor and I know the terminology, because I don't. But my surgery had me down for 6 weeks, and typically what would happen is I was going in 3 to 4 times a week, and every week we were paying on a balance, so it never even got to $800. But fertility treatments cost thousands of dollars, and for them to say you have an $800 balance and you can't come back until it's paid in full, not you have an $800 balance. Can you put something on it when you come in for your next appointment? So I had made the next appointment. I was excited. My husband was excited. I was like, we back on this journey. We back in the game. The morning of my surgery, I'm sorry guys. The morning of my appointment, 1 hour before I was due to go in for another treatment is when I got the phone call. And the first phone call was, can you make a payment? The second thing was, oh, no, not a payment. Can you pay half? And then the last thing was, oh, no, you have to pay in full. So my husband, being who he is, he was like, I can pull from another account to pay it in full. Do you want me to do it? I said no. And the reason I said no, and looking back, hindsight being 2020, I know why I said no now. But back then, the reason I thought I was saying no was like, how is it that we paid them all this money and they know that we're good for it, and they know that I was down because they're the ones that actually told me I needed to have this particular surgery and referred me to the surgeon. And so I was really, really like, I was so sad. I didn't just cry, I sobbed. And I sobbed, and I was in a fetal position. And all my husband could do was get behind me and hold me and sob too. I'm not sharing this to solicit sympathy from others. I'm sharing this because I want others to know that you're not on this journey by yourself, right? You are not alone. There's always someone out there going through something similar. There's always someone out there going through something worse. So fast forward to 2024. 2024, I had to have a radical hysterectomy, and I carried the BRCA1 gene, I carried the ATM gene, and if anybody knows about genetic mutations, long story short, if you have a genetic mutation, it gives you a high percentage of having a certain type of cancer one time or another throughout your life. So you have to, I encourage people, if cancer runs in your family, you need to get genetic testing. Talk to your primary care physician. They can do a referral for you, and because of the family history, you do not have to pay for genetic testing. So I always encourage people, because I want people to understand that it is better to know than not to know. And then you can make an informed decision. Don't allow someone to make decisions for you. You want to be able to make an informed decision for yourself. And so I was able to make an informed decision for myself, understanding that I carried this gene. The BRCA gene, I think they said I had like an 87% chance of getting cancer in my lifetime. And BRCA1 is one of those genes that they don't have a lot of research on. They didn't. They're doing more now. And you can have breast cancer and then go into remission and come back in a form of ovarian cancer, which is what happened to my sister. And the last conversation I had with her before she became active was her telling me, I don't want you to end up like me. Please consider the surgery. Now, for those that are not in the medical field or that have not ever had to go through watching a loved one die, being active means you are actively transitioning, and they give you 24 to 72 hours. So anyway, she was like, please don't turn out like me. Consider getting the surgeries. And, I heard her out, and I was like, oh my God. I gotta stay strong, because in that moment I wanted to break. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was like, I gotta stay strong because I'm here for her at this point. She's been here for me all my life. It's my turn to return the favor. So I would not break down in front of her. Y'all, when I got home and shared that with my husband, I broke down. Like, I'm fighting back tears now. But I'm sharing that to say she kind of is a part of the reason that I did go ahead and get the surgeries that I got. And I did the radical hysterectomy first because ovarian cancer is very hard to detect in the early stages. Brandy Maxiel, she is or was a star on Basketball Wives. She had ovarian cancer and she survived it, but it's very hard to detect. And I just remember my sister talking about her stomach. You know, she was small in stature, but her stomach made it look like she was literally pregnant. And she kept complaining about it, and I kept begging her, pleading with her, please go to the doctors and get that checked out. Please go to the doctors and get that checked out. And she finally did, and they admitted her that day. And they were already talking about hospice and everything. And I think it was all thrown at her at one time. She was by herself. I don't really think she really understood what they were saying. And it just turned into her being at the hospital for like 41 days, and then they were like, there's nothing else we can do. She can either go home and die comfortably, or she can go into a facility where they can take care of her while she's on hospice and keep her comfortable. So she went to a facility up here near me. We have an older cousin who was her power of attorney that also lives up here near me. So she was, sorry, I had to check my part. She was moved up here. We got her moved up here and situated and all of that. And my cousin was a power of attorney, and then me and my husband would go visit her, and my husband would give her communion. And I mean, me and my cousin were up, my cousin and I were really up there every day. My cousin did her big thing with this. Like, she really showed up. And a lot of times you don't have an expectation of people, like, or at least I don't. And I don't really expect people to show up for me, especially like family and friends and stuff, because I always try to be the strong person. And what I realized in watching the journey with my sister was, you can only be strong but so long before you need help. And so there's that part of it. So we were in a room. It was myself, my husband, my cousin, my brother, and my sister-in-law were all in the room. And I had stepped out because there was some discrepancies and all that I wanted to address. And my sister-in-law was like, she came in the hallway and she was like, calm down, it's happening. Meaning, like, she's about to die, basically. And at first, I was like, what? But then I was remembering what I said, and I don't want her to die by herself. Not that them being there was not good enough, but I just felt like one of her sisters needed to physically be there. And I know that she knew that I was there. So I saw her take her last breath, and she died. And instinctually, I went into worship. I'm going to get emotional, because this sister I was really close to, and she suffered so much in life in general, but through this ordeal specifically. And I wanted to show up for her because I feel like she never felt like anybody showed up for her, because even my mom, she showed up for her the best way she could, but she got sick. And so, and even my dad, who wasn't her biological father, he showed up for her as much as he could. But I feel like everybody in the family, later on down the line, my dad died in 98, and I feel like everybody in the family, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying how I feel, but at this big age, I don't care. I feel like everybody in the family did one or two things. They turned their back on her, or when she would disappear, it was just like, you know, because that's what she would do. Me and all my sisters do that. We don't want to be bothered. You're not going to find us. You can have the right phone number. You're not going to find us. But I feel like it got to the point where I felt like people didn't care enough to find her. Like, I was in contact with her. Like, I knew where she was. People were in contact with me. But I didn't share all her business, because that's not something I was going to do to my sister. You do that to your sister all you want, but I'm not doing that to my sister. But I'm sharing this to say, losing somebody you love is hard. and losing my mom at 7 and my dad at 15 around Thanksgiving, 2 months before my 16th birthday, was a lot, because my dad was the only person that really, in my opinion, was my cheerleader. And you know, everybody has their own opinion. That might not have been the reality of it, but for me, that was my opinion. And we're all entitled to those. And when my dad died, I was devastated. I didn't think anything else could top that. You know, when I went through a divorce at 30 and I lost everything, that was devastation. That was another form of grief. But I didn't think anything would take me to the point where it was like, oh my God. And when my sister Keisha passed away, y'all, that thing really hurt. Losing your sisters or your siblings, because my sister Rochelle passing away, I couldn't even believe it. I mean, y'all, you think that your siblings are invincible, and sometimes we think of ourselves as being invincible. Let's just be real about it. But losing Rochelle and then to lose Keisha was so devastating for me. And then after losing them, to have to go through all these surgeries was so devastating, because I'm like, here I am married to an amazing man who would be a phenomenal father, and I can't even give him the gift of being a father. And if you're not a woman that's going through that, I don't care how much empathy you have, you will never understand that pain. Never understand what that feels like. And I just remember reading my Bible, and I remember going to Romans 8:28, and I said, I'm gonna make this my mantra. And you know, I feel like it's been stuff going on back to back to back. I feel like at every turn I get a knockout punch, the rug is pulled from underneath me, everything. Like every time I feel like I'm able to take a breath, my breath is taken away, if you can understand what I'm saying when I say that. And I feel like even to this day, like yesterday was so frustrating. You know, I have a book anthology, Educators Rise, Voices of Change, and we're bridging the gaps in education and DEI. So volume 1 launched on April 25th, and I'm in bed healing, but I'm still dealing with that, right? Because I had surgery on April 16th. The book came out on April 25th, and I'm still like doing interviews and doing all kind of stuff, and I'm not taking time to process what's happened. So Mother's Day comes, and we're at church, and everything hits me at one time, and I lost it. And I had one church member come over. My husband's in the pulpit. No, he's not. He's on the first row, because the missionaries were in charge. But this one lady in particular came over and was consoling me, and it almost was like, bless her heart, but I didn't really want a person to come over to console me. I just needed to cry out to the Lord, and it just happened to happen in church, which is not a bad place for it to happen. Mother's Day was tough. It was tough. And because I sat in service, and God brought to my remembrance everything, from being told that I almost didn't make it as a baby in the womb, from being told that my mom was in heaven with the angels at 7, being told your father died at 15, and being told Rochelle died, and watching Keisha take her last breath, and going through all these different surgeries, and going through strife and confusion in relationships with family members, and sitting back at this big age and saying, you know what, grief is hard, but You gotta keep living. Romans 8:28 says, "For we know that all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord and are called according to his purposes." Now, I'm not getting on here to preach. I'm getting on here to share my journey and what helps me through. I stand on that. I take a hold of that like a dog gnaws on a bone, because that's all I got. Because if I let that go, I'm going to crumble. And I'm not going to make it. For we know that all things, not most things, not some things, not select things, but all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord and are called according to his purposes. What are you called to? We selfishly believe that we go through what we go through because we're being punished. But I've learned in studying Romans 8:28 that we don't go through what we go through for ourselves, but we go through what we go through to help somebody else to get through to the other side. And so I just want to encourage you guys to keep going. Don't give up. It's okay to not be okay, and to find your tribe, even if your tribe is a tribe of 1, 2, or 3 other people. Well, I've been on here and I had y'all for a while and cried. I'm done doing my flat twist, and I'm going to let y'all go. I, again, pray that you guys have a marvelous Monday. My motivational statement today for Motivational Monday is, don't give up, don't give in, keep going. I'm trying to grow my channel. Please subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit that post notification bell so that you are notified every time I upload another real, live, video, whatever it's called in the YouTube world, because I'm still learning the YouTube world. I will be sharing more in the coming days, weeks, months. After you subscribe, click that post notification bell, share with a friend, like, comment. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will also have my information in the description box if you want to reach out personally. All right, you guys have a blessed rest of your day. Bye.